Alright, section 4.7. This section is dealing with completing the square, and this is just another way of solving. You can use this method instead of the quadratic formula, which is in the next section. These are mainly important when you have something that can't be factored and you have another way of solving it, okay, instead of the quadratic formula. So we'll get straight into an example here. Let's look at example number, let's say it's the first example here. X squared minus 10x plus 1 equals 0. Alright, in completing the square, it's important that you notice that this x squared term is by itself. Okay, it has a 1 out in front of it. So if it didn't, you'd have to do a little bit more work to get it by itself. But since it already is, the only thing you got to get rid of is the c term. And when I rewrite this, I'm going to leave a gap where that 1 used to be. And 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Because in completing the square, you're going to fill in this gap with a number, and then you're going to do it to the other side as well, and then you'll be able to factor and solve. Okay, so on this problem here, what am I going to fill into that spot? Well, there's another formula that you have to know, and it is b over 2 squared. Well, my b is negative 10. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. And this number that's in red will always be positive, okay? Because anytime you square something, it turns it positive. So now what you can do is you can factor, and it will always work out to where it's the same thing inside parentheses, okay? Your signs are the same; they're both negative. Factors of 25 that add to get you 10 are 5 and 5. Negative 1 plus 25 is 24. These two things will always be the same if you do it correctly. Next thing you need to do, simplify this. Say x minus 5 squared equals 24. And then if you remember back to section 4.5, solving using the square root method, you square root both sides. You have x minus 5 equals plus or minus. And let's see what 24 simplifies to. 4 and 6, 2 and 2, 2 and 3. So that's going to simplify to 2 square root of 6. Because that comes out, that stays underneath. Add 5 to both sides and you have your answer. Okay, so again, you couldn't solve by factor. You couldn't set this equal to 24 and that equal to 24 and solve it. Because when you factor, it has to be set equal to 0. Well, in completing the square, you can actually have a number over here. That's why you have to use the square root method. So be careful not just to say that, well, x minus 5 equals 24, therefore x must be 29. It doesn't quite work that way. Okay, so this is your answer. Second example we need to look at, and the last example on here is, let's say we had 2x squared plus 8x plus 14 equals 0. Okay. Like the last problem, I say you need to make sure that this x squared term is by itself. Well, in this problem we have down here, I have a 2. So I need to get rid of that 2, and I can get rid of that 2 pretty easily because 2 goes into all three of these numbers. Okay? So if I divide out of 2, it's not going to change my equation. Okay? So if I get rid of that 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 14 divided by 2 is 7, equal to 0. And I haven't changed my problem. Okay, I didn't do anything to change it. It's still the same thing. Now we can do the same thing we did in question 1. Okay, so subtract 7. Leave the gap. And to complete the square, so 4 over 2 squared. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So let's factor this side here. It's going to be x plus 2, x plus 2. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. Simplify the left-hand side, make it squared. And then take the square root of both sides. And if you notice, you do have a negative underneath the radical. 3 won't reduce, but you can get rid of the I, or get rid of the negative by bringing out an I and leaving the 3 underneath. So your last step is just subtracting 2, and that's your answer.